Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Jayo Radha Radha Kanta Radha Radha Kanta Radhe Jayo Radha Kanta Radha Kanta Radhe Jayo Gauranitai 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 Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai नाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्री ग्रंथराज भागवतम की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 chapter 5 text number 5 please repeat Karoti karmani kritavataro Yani atma tantro bhagavam straya dishaha Yata sasar jagra idam nirihaha Samstapya vrittim jagato vidatte Karoti karmani kritavataro Yani atmatantro bhagavam strayadishaha Yata sasat jagra idam nirihaha Samstapya vrittim jagato vidatte Karoti karmani sasajagra idam niriha.
Yatha sasajagra idam niriha.
Samstapya vrittim jagato vidatte.
Samstapya vrittim jagato vidatte.
Karoti kamani kritavataro.
Karoti karmani vritavataro.
Yanyatmatantro bhagavam striyadisha.
Yanyatmatantro bhagavam striyadisha.
Yata sasajagra idam niriha.
Yatha sasajagra idam niriha.
Samstapya vrittim jagato vidate.
Samstapya vrittim jagato vidate. Karoti karmani vritavataro. Karoti karmani vritavataro. Yanyatmatantro bhagavam striyadisha. Yanyatmatantro bhagavam striyadisha. Yatha sasajagra idam niriha. Yatha sasajagra idam niriha. Samstapya vrittim jagato vidhate. Samstapya vrittim jagato vidhate. Karoti karmani kritavataro. Karoti karmani kritavataro. Yani atmatantro bhagavam striyadisha. Yanyatmatantro bhagavam striyadisha. Tasa jagaro idam niriha. Yatha sasajagra idam niriha. Samstapya vrittim jagato vidhate. Samstapya vrittim jagato vidhate.
Word meaning. Karoti.
Karoti.
Does them.
Does them.
Karmani.
Karmani.
Transcendental activities.
Transcendental activities.
Krita.
Krita.
By accepting.
By accepting.
Avataraha.
Avatara.
Incarnations.
Incarnations.
Yani.
Yani.
All those.
All those.
Atmatantraha.
Atmatantra.
Self-independent.
Self-independent.
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan.
Personality of Godhead.
The personality of
Tri
God.
Adishaha.
Triyadisha.
Lord of three worlds.
The Lord of the three worlds.
Yatha.
Yata.
As much as.
As much as.
Sasarja.
Sasarja.
Created.
Created.
Agre.
Agre.
At first.
At first.
Idam.
Idam.
This cosmic manifestation.
This cosmic manifestation.
Nirihaha.
Niriha.
Although desireless.
Although desireless.
Samstapya.
Samstapya.
By establishing.
By establishing.
Vrittim.
Vrittim.
Means of livelihood.
Means of livelihood.
Jagataha.
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 Of the universes.
Of the universe.
Vidatte.
Vidate.
As he regulates.
As he regulates.
Translation by Sri Krishna Prabhu. O great sage, kindly narrate how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is independent, desireless, Lord of three worlds, and the controller of all energies, accepts incarnations and creates the cosmic manifestation with perfectly arranged regulative principles for its maintenance. Please repeat. O great sage,
O great sage,
kindly narrate
kindly narrate
how the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
how the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
who is the independent,
who is the independent,
desireless,
desireless,
Lord of the three worlds,
Lord of the three
and
worlds,
the controller of all energies,
and the controller of all energies,
accepts
accepts
incarnations
Incarnations.
and creates the cosmic manifestation
and creates the cosmic
with
manifestation
perfectly arranged regulative principles for its maintenance.
perfectly arranged regular principles for its maintenance.
Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, from whom three creative incarnations, namely Purushavataras, Karana-avakshayi, Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi, Vishnu, Shirodakshayi, Vishnu, span. The whole material creation is conducted by the three Purushas in successive stages under the external energy of the Lord, and thus material nature is controlled by him. Thinking material nature to be independent is like seeking milk from the nipple-like bags or the neck of the goat. The Lord is independent and desireless. He does not create a material world for his own satisfaction, as we create our household affairs to fulfill our material desires. Actually, the material world is created for the illusory enjoyment of the conditioned souls who have been against the transcendental service of the Lord since the time immemorial. But the material universes are full of themselves. We'll stop here, I'll come back to that purport later. Hare Krishna, Hare Om Tat Sat. Jnanatminandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katha Muhyam Dadati Svapadadikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sadvijatam Sahgana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha Kamkaroti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Vinatarinam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we see, this is again a discussion between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. So Vidura, we saw, he spoke with Uddhava and then he was directed towards Maitreya Rishi. And he travelled all the way from the Yamuna bank to Haridwar. It's quite a bit of distance and a lot of climbing over the hills. But Vidura did that because he was so anxious to hear about Supreme Lord what Supreme Lord had to say, very end. So he went and saw Maitreya Rishi, and Maitreya Rishi was available to talk. And so he first glorifies Maitreya Rishi as a very great devotee, who he is, and that's the way to approach a spiritual master. So first we have to identify a good spiritual master, a very bona fide spiritual master. Then we have to, because a spiritual master is a bona fide representative of Krishna, so we definitely have to glorify. Spiritual master obviously does not take it for himself. He takes, as a servant of Krishna, he takes the credit, he gives the credit to Krishna himself. So that's what he does. So he sees Maitreya Rishi and he glorifies him as someone who has come for benefiting the whole world by giving this message of Krishna. And after sufficiently doing the Mangalacharan for his spiritual master, he is going on to ask questions about what is beneficial for the conditioned souls. Then he comes to the topic of creation also. How is the creation happens? And how the Supreme Lord is actually does the creation. So this somehow happens to be a very pertinent question asked by different devotees at different points of time. Because that's the right way to approach, to understand the genesis, where it all starts, the creation. Because the creation is so wonderful, it is so magical, so mystical, how everything is perfectly falling into place. So this, even the scientists are baffled. So they say the Earth planet supports life because it is so finely tuned to perfection. Everything is falling into perfect order for this creation to happen and for this life to sustain. If the acceleration due to gravity was even a little more, 1 meter per second square, then life cannot be sustained. Even the combination of the oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, even if it's a little here and there, then it's going to be difficult for life to sustain. So everything is in perfect order for life to sustain. So that is why they're always in all reverence towards the creation. But the credit goes to the Supreme Personality of God, because He has put everything in order. Even before Lord Brahma had to come and start the creation, He's completely set everything. So Lord Brahma comes and brings forth the population. So that's very important to understand. The credit actually goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the entire creation, the primary creation. So naturally, Vidura also asks the same question about the creation. How the self-desireless and self-sufficient Lord, how does He create? And so, verse 4, verse 5 says, O great sage, kindly narrate how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is independent, desireless, and how does He, Lord of the three worlds and controller of the energies and accepts incarnations, creates a cosmic manifestation to perfectly arranged regulative principles for its maintenance. So perfectly arranged regulative principles. It is not just somebody, an engineer, creates a nice car which can drive, which can go for any a top speed of 200 miles per hour. Or if someone and a Japanese, they create this wonderful train which can run for 500 miles per hour. So that's all nice creation. But who creates the laws of nature? So that is, nobody asks the question. So everybody is actually making use of the laws of nature. And they make use of the different laws of nature to create the different products, different engineered products, so that it can make your life comfortable. But the point here is that who arrange the regulative principles of its maintenance, that nobody really worries about. So that the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He maintains, He creates all these laws of nature. And He puts everything in order for the life to sustain. So the visible laws of nature, scientists can measure different experiments, they can postulate different laws of nature. This is how it works, this is how it works, this is how it works. But finally, they cannot really see the invisible laws of nature, that which cannot be experienced, that should only can be experienced from a higher perspective. The demigods know that. The subtle laws of nature, which is the karma, laws of karma, and the laws of how the laws of karma, the laws of birth and death, and all the other different, how to get out of this material world, and all those different things is not known to the living entities, because they are blind to this creation and the Creator. They are only open to the creation, but they are not open to the Creator. So obviously they are blind to the subtle laws of nature. Whereas the demigods, they are seeing this from the top, and they can see so many people taking birth and they're dying. So they know the laws of nature, and they are actually helping and implementing the laws of nature. They're administrating the whole world. So they know that very well, quite well. What are the different laws of nature? So they know the laws of karma. But we know from the words of the scripture, words of Srimad Bhagavatam, and from the disciplic succession, how this laws of nature works. And we are greatly privileged to know these things. Because normal people, they don't get to know these things. They are blind to this. So they don't know how to act. But we are fortunate enough to know how to act from the grace of Srila Prabhupada, the grace of the Parampara system. So, this whole creation is actually made possible. Both the creation, sustenance and destruction is all happens by the will of the Lord. The Lord is present starting from His Purushavatars. So there is a mention of Purushavatars here. So one is Karanodakshayi Vishnu and Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, other is Shirodakshayi Vishnu. These three Vishnus, they are in this material world, and they help in complete management of this material nature. So, Karanodakshayi Vishnu is lying in the causal ocean. So what is this causal ocean? So that's a boundary between the spiritual and the material world. It's called causal ocean because for every cause there is an effect in the material world. So you do some action, there is a reaction. So it's a cause and effect. This causal ocean is also called as Viraja Nadi. It's a river. Sometimes referred as a river, sometimes referred as the ocean. So the Lord is lying in this causal ocean, and His expanse is so big, so very big, Nobody can even estimate how big is the expanse of the Lord's body. And from the Lord's body comes his different pores. From each pores comes an universe, or Brahmandas. And in each universe the Lord further expands into this, the second expansion, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And the Lord goes into the center part of this ocean, in this Brahmanda, and there is again, he fills from his perspiration. Half of the Brahmanda is filled with again another ocean, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And there he lies as Lord Vishnu. And further he creates his whole planetary systems. The whole primary creation is made possible by Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And he further expands into each and every part of the universe, the creation, as the Paramatma or the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And he is there in each and every atom of this universe. So we can understand he is holding everything in perfect order. So the Bhagavad Gita we learn about the pearl strung on the thread. So what is the verse? Anybody knows the verse? Yeah, Sutre Manigana Iva.
Yeah.
So it says that Aham Sarvasya Prabha, I am there situated in the whole world, just like a pearl strung on a thread. So these are pearls strung on the thread. The underlying thread is the one which holds everything in order. So that is Supreme Lord as Paramatma. He is there in every atom, and he is maintaining the atom. And the atom is the foundation of this entire creation. Atom, molecules, and different things are all creations of these atoms. The Lord is situated as Paramatma in this whole creation. So these Purusha avatars are there. And from these Purusha avatars, there are different other incarnations. The Lord actually he takes different incarnations different times. So does anybody know the different classification of different incarnations? You might be knowing different types of incarnations. What are the different types? Yeah, Guna avatars. That's the first avatar. Manvantar, yes.
Leela?
Leela, yes.
Shaktivesh?
Satyavesh. Only thing missing is
Yuga.
Yuga. There are 6 types of incarnations, right? Purusha, Leela, and there is Guna, Manvantara, Yuga, and Satyavesh. So Satyavesh is normally considered as an empowered living entity. A living entity is empowered to do a specific activity. Like Veda Vyas, in this age is Lord's incarnation, but normally somebody is empowered to do the job, to divide this whole Shrutis into the different Vedas. And sometimes Narada is considered as Satyavesh Avatar. He is giving this teaching the art of bhakti to everybody in this world. So this was Sakti Avesh Avatar. So the other incarnations, as I just mentioned. So Leela Avatar, then Manvantara Avatar. So Manvantara means the whole day of Brahma is divided on Kalpa. So it's thousands of cycles of 4 yugas. And that's divided by 14 Manus. So they reign over this whole creation, whole Manus. The Manu is the originator of the human population. So every reign of the Manu, the demigods take different demigods take position according to their karma, and they reign over that entire Manvantara. So during that time, one incarnation of the Lord comes, and then he predominates the everything over the Manvantara. Sometimes it's called the Yajna, sometimes it's called different names. So now who is the Manu who is actually reigning over the moment? Vaivashvata Manu. That's good. Starting from Swayambhuva, then Swarojisa, there's so many different Manus. So then each Manvantara, as we know, so if you divide 1000 by 14, so there are so many different yugas that comes to that Manvantara. And in each yuga, there are 4 different yugas. In every yuga, there is incarnation of Lord, or Yuga Avatar. So of course, who is the current incarnation? Which is current yuga and who is the current incarnation? Yuga Avatar. Yeah, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that he gave the Yuga Dharma of this Kali Yuga. So like that, the Lord actually from Purusha Avatar, he is maintaining the whole material creation. That's why it is said here, accepts incarnation and creates cosmic manifestation and maintains this cosmic manifestations. So So that's why Purusha Avatar is given that credit. So he is responsible for taking appropriate incarnations at different times for creation, maintenance and destruction. And he is also responsible for different associated incarnations, Lila Avatars. Lila Avatars are those which are incarnation which is done for a specific purpose. It's not really a planned incarnation. It is planned, definitely. Of course, later it is all written down. But it is necessitated by certain events that happens. And because of those events, the Lord has to incarnate. So it's called Leela Avatars. And then, so Satyavesh, we already saw that. So all those different incarnations maintains the material universe. But what about the spiritual universe, the other side of the cosmos ocean? The spiritual universe of the Lord has different forms. And it is said there are 24 main deities in the spiritual world. And starting from Krishna himself in the Goloka. So the Lord's incarnation starts from himself. So he has two types of incarnation. One is Swayam Rupa, another is Tadekatma Rupa. So Swayam Rupa is his own incarnations. And that is further divided into Prabhava and Vilasa. Or Prabhava and Vaibhava. So Prabhava means the four-handed forms, and Vaibhava means his two-handed forms. Tadekatma Rupa means his expansions, starting from Lord Balram, who has his own Swamsha, who has his own personal incarnations, Lord Balram, or Adishesha, or Lakshmana, like that. And then he has his own Vibhava incarnations. So, starting from the four Chaturvyuha incarnations, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And then after that, these four incarnations, further they expand into three more. Each of the four incarnations again further do three more expansions. So this is again, they have some name called Vilasa Rupa. And they have some names. So which is actually the names that we adorn when we are putting our tilaka, starting from Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, and Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, Rishikesha, Padmanabha, and Damodara. So there's 12 different expansions comes forth from these four different Chaturvyuha expansions. And these four different Chaturvyuha expansions further expand into two more, making it 8 more. So this totally makes 24 deities. So 4 Chaturvyuha deities and the first 12 expansions makes 16. 8 more makes it 24. There's 24 different deities, very principal deities, or the main deities in the spiritual world. So how do we distinguish those deities? All of them have four-handed forms, and they all have different positions of their the mace, called Kaumodaki, and then the Panchajanya, the conch, and this Sankarshana, the chakra, Sudarshana chakra, and the Padma, or the lotus flower. There's four different main instruments of the Lord. If they are held in different orders, they make 24 different orders. 4 factorial, 4p4, 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So that makes 24 different incarnations of the Supreme Lord, expansion of Supreme Lord. So then this they further expand into many different things. Like the Lord has, or Rama has his own Vaikuntha, Lord Narasimha has his own Vaikuntha Loka. Like that, different other different Vaikuntha Lokas are also there. So like that, there's 24 different expansions and further expansions are also there. So like this spiritual world is now, it's filled with different Vaikuntha Lokas. It is actually 3 times bigger than the material world. Material world itself is unimaginable. The size, the expanse of it is unimaginable. There are billions and billions of universes. Go to the spiritual world, anything you see here is 3 times multiplied. So it is said in the Pushasukta also that it is Tripadasya Amritam Divi. Tripada means 3 times. It's expansion is there. So the Lord has expanded, is unimaginable. His potencies, His incarnations. And it is all because there are so many different things going on in the spiritual world. is done, he said, so if you can publish newspapers on what is happening in the material world, for every city there's a newspaper, for every county there's a newspaper. So to talk about this material world, so many different things that's going on. But spiritual world, you can imagine there is so many millions and millions and billions of this Vaikuntha Lokas. In every universe there is so many devotees, so many of the Nitya Mukta devotees. And they're eternally serving the Supreme Lord. So there are pastimes happening there all the time. And Krishna is keeping everybody amused there. Not just in the Goloka Vrindavana, but every Vaikuntha Loka there is so many things happening. And everybody is happy there. Eternally happy. So that is what is spiritual world. It is unimaginable. You cannot even think how many things are happening. So here in our own different, I was thinking in our New Talavan Dam, there's so many things happening. So last 3 weeks we've been talking about the dogs. The dogs are there and everybody's worried about the dogs. So again, there's so many things to discuss in the CMT meetings. So like that, spiritual world is full of activities. And it's full of pastimes. There's a lot of things happening. You cannot even imagine. And so many things to know, so many things to serve, ways to serve Krishna, Supreme Lord. So like that, one should always not underestimate spiritual knowledge or district consciousness to be a very boring and very repetitive things. Everyday chanting, everyday arati, everyday kirtan. There is so many things, just that we do not know, we do not taste it, we do not have the experience of it. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam class is there. Srimad Bhagavatam class is to bring out all these things. These teachings, the variegatedness, the beauty and the plurality of the spiritual knowledge and the spirituality itself. And how wonderful is Krishna as a person. He has so many different things he does. And his devotees, how wonderfully they are serving Krishna. It's all so many different things happening. So we need to be very fortunate. Prabhupada has brought up this Bhagavatam, he translated it painstakingly, waking up early in the morning, translating all these things, all these different things. And then he's going out and preaching that same message. So he's living by that. So that is very, very important. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. Bhagavad Gita is also very, very primary, important knowledge is there in Bhagavad Gita. So all of these are extremely important. And we have to continuously we have to hear this at every opportunity. And we have to meditate upon this and we have to discuss this, ask questions. And as Mata brought up last week, sometimes we don't ask questions for ourselves, we ask questions for others because they don't know what to ask. So sometimes we have to ask and then make things, bring out the right answers. That's what Vidura is also doing. So you might ask why the same questions on creation comes every time. So we saw Brahma asking the question, and Narada was asking the question. Then we had Vidura asking the same question about the creation. Why? Because we need to be constantly reminded of this. That this creation is so wonderful. And we are so fortunate to be given whatever we have been given. And we have to have the gratitude for Krishna. Whatever he has given, we have to thankfully take it, and thankfully we have to being grateful for whatever we have been given. So it's very, very important that we take note of this and we execute our Krishna consciousness with great gratitude and also appreciation for the Supreme Lord. So stop here for any questions. Comments. Yes, Mata.
Come on, people, ask questions for others.
I was actually just wanted to comment about maintenance, because Lord Vishnu, and it's maintenance really does take the mode of goodness there, because there has to be discipline. Like now that I have a house and there's always something to maintain, it came to my mind. Oh my God! And Lord Vishnu, he just that's what Lord seems to be about. Got all these energies and incarnations and these things. The purpose of maintaining what he creates, he doesn't just create and then forget about it. That's so it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Like
letter, I can't remember exactly, but it was really interesting how Prabhupada made the point that material creation can't happen by itself. It needs that spiritual force by Vishnu, or for example, the soul entering the body. If you're not, you see it like sometimes when a child is first born, and if the soul's not there, it automatically is, he would say that it's not developed. That developing comes about by, again, the soul, the spiritual kind of, what do you call it, potency. In the same way with the universe. That the scientists say, people always say, I'm intelligent, they are.
True. Thank you. Yes.
Want to remind you, if you want to say anything? Anyway, I was at, it said the Lord, you said he arranges these laws of nature, and then these, like, the scientists and the materialists, they study it, but they never ask why. And this morning I was reading about the different types of ignorance that was created by Brahma. There's Tamishra, Anatamisha. So I figure it must be something like that, Moha, that they just never bother. So, but it's amazing that they don't bother to ask why these laws are in effect. And even what Maj is saying here about it just came to mind about they're raising the age that you can abort a baby. It's like they're so blind they can't understand that it's actually life there, and they will make some kind of excuse that this is just some tissue growing in the mother, and there's no living entity there yet, so, or whatever, just disposable. And now they're trying to get them to go older, like full term. I heard that they actually are killing children. And so it's just amazing that they can do that. The ignorance, how heavy it is.
Yeah. It's extremely bad. Prabhupada was very much against aborting children and also killing cows. So these two things he was very much vehemently would oppose, he would speak against different places. It's very important to not follow that. Somehow they in this part of the world they have taken the first one little seriously. The Christians, the Catholics, they're very serious about no abortion. But the second one is the rampant killing of cows. Whereas they maintain dogs, they maintain cats, but cows somehow don't relax. Cow is so nice, so we see, I take my kids to play with the calves. So nice. So they don't hurt you, they don't, so sattvic mode, mode of sort of so that I don't know why they don't appreciate that. They see it as an object of enjoyment, see it as something that you can kill and eat, and it's so bad. So it's very important to show the world that how cows should be maintained, how it is important for the civilization. I wish there was an Indian breed of cows here also. It would be nice.
Are we finishing this report, or we're supposed to do it tomorrow?
Oh, purple. Okay. Now, yeah, maybe you can throw some light on it tomorrow.
Is it much further?
It's about half I finished. The next thing talks about the population. Robert, I can quickly speak on it, so I can go to the next verse.
If you want to just read it.
Yeah. There's no scarcity for maintenance in the material world because there's a poor fund of knowledge. The materials are disturbed when there is an apparent increase of population on the earth. Whenever there is a living being on the earth, however, his subsistence is immediately arranged by the Lord. Other species of living entities who far outnumber human society are never disturbed for maintenance. They are never seen dying of starvation. It's only the human society that is disturbed about the food situation and to cover the real fact. Mismanagement of administration takes place in the plea of that population is excessively increasing. If there is any scarcity in this world, it is scarcity of God consciousness. Otherwise, by the grace of the Lord, there is no scarcity of anything. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Wow. That's very relevant. What we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, scarcity, there's no scarcity as such, but we have to grow food also. So instead of wasting the land, everybody should be engaged in growing food. That not be any problem.
Yeah, growing food or raising the cows.
Yeah, raising cows can maintain their world.
I was reading this one fellow, he's a so-called father of permaculture. He was saying that, there's so many lawns that people have and they do so much money. It would be good if you have a cow, but otherwise he was thinking of taxing anyone who keeps a lawn just for looks. It should all be used to grow food.
But our local government is so absurd that in many places it's illegal to grow a garden
Yes,
in your
no.
front yard
That's Denver.
because it has to look good. And it's also illegal to keep it. You can keep dogs, like huge German shepherds that bark at your neighbors and scratch people and poop all over the place. But you can't keep a cow.
Yeah.
Is that a law?
Yeah.
Not keep a cow?
There's an actual law that you cannot keep cows or horses within a municipality. It have to be in an area that's designated country. Rural.
Oh, yeah.
Rural is the word. It has to be tagged rural. But if it's like municipality, you want to keep cats and dogs.
Yeah. When I was in Denver, I learned that they even were there watching me. Because I had to actually maintain a lawn. It's a 1390 across the street from the temple. And I would get compliments from the neighbors because they're all watching. They said, oh, so-and-so, the lady next door, she's a non-believer, she goes, oh, so-and-so down the street is commenting your lawn, and I think it's great. And as long as I kept that lawn nice.
Yeah, you get a ticket if you don't maintain the lawn.
They would tell me about previous people that were living there and how horrified they were. And then they noticed the trees, like this tree, you should take it out, they're telling me what to do. And, I said, well, I notified the town president, but yeah, they're watching you. And there's even some places I found out you can't even put a clothesline in your backyard. Your neighbors will complain because you're too old-fashioned and it's an eyesore for their, their.
Yeah, it sort of shows you like the inconsistency in laws, Most of these laws, there's really no question of them caring about ethics and morality. Honestly, I mean, there's so many examples. I mean, for instance, there's law. It's legal in certain states to have sex with animals,
Wow, I heard that.
right? But polygamy is illegal in all states. You cannot have sex with multiple individuals of the same species, but you can have sex with other species.
That's why it's called you.
That is so degrading.
Yeah.
So
No one questions it. No one is so, this is nuts.
So that's why, unfortunately, I let Chaitanya Prabhupada come to us, but we're not the greatest of all people in all the ages from Satya to here. So we have such a wonderful process for us to become undegraded and give it to others. I find that, I only did it a little bit, and just for the first timers, you could see how not for everybody, like Prabhupada said, I'm sick carrying. So yes, it's very degrading.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling very much separation right now, but there's nothing I can do. That's COVID. But when I was out there, the first is nice thing. You can go up to somebody in a spiritual way and ask them if they want to dance. And it's good for them. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and I agree about the polygamy because then there wouldn't be such a fuss about Clinton with his girlfriend in the office. He had money, he could have more than one wife.
Yeah, exactly.
And his wife can exactly divorce him, so
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Marriage is such a fundamental, has such a fundamental, position in this capitalist, social system. Where so much is built upon it. And if you were just to put one more person into that scenario, it breaks down the entire construct. It messes so many things up. Divorce, marriage, all these things that so much money is in. It makes everything so void.
Yeah. Back in India, they have this different rules for different religions. So, and Muslim can have 5 wives, whereas a Hindu cannot have more than 1 wife.
Yeah.
So they're trying to abolish it, but es kommt ja opposition to that.
Yeah.
Africa too, they still have that.
Oh yeah, they're all about that.
And you know, when you look at the women, and they really seem happy because they're not so influenced by the Western ideas and all that.
Mm.
So I've seen YouTube videos, and there's even, you know, they're trying to stop child marriages, but in India they had these 5 or 6 children from the village, and the boys were about the same age as the girls. It wasn't like, you know, old men or whatever people imagine. It was really nice, and then they said after the wedding, they just went on with their normal lives, and they never were together until later when they were older. And they even interviewed some of the couples that married, you know, in that village, and even though they were happy, but even though it was illegal, they say they still do it. These villagers, you know,
Yeah.
they do big time weddings with their kids, so
Yeah.
it's still going on. I'm saying,
The opposite here,
yeah, it's a
they know you
struggle.
today, that tomorrow they're hanging all over each other.
Yeah, so it's a struggle.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.